Welcome back to Antique Central. In today's video we're going to look at 6 recent antiques and vintage purchases sourced from local pop-up auctions and a charity shop. First up we have an antique cast spelter blacksmith figurine mounted on a turned hardwood base. I paid £8 plus fees for it at one of my local pop-up auctions. When you add the commission on the hammer price of 10% plus the £1 lot fee, I paid in total £9.80, which in my opinion for a genuine antique spelter casting is a bit of a bargain. So what is spelter and is it as valuable as bronze? The quick answer is definitely no. It's not anywhere near as valuable as a quality signed bronze casting, but nevertheless it still has intrinsic value as a decorative antique and should not be dismissed as having no resale value. In many respects you might say that spelter is the poor man's bronze. It's typically a zinc lead alloy and compared to bronze it's a softer, cheaper metal that can age to look like bronze. Alternatively, when it's manufactured, it can have a bronze patination directly applied to it by heating up the casting and painting it with various chemicals until the desired finish is achieved. I've even seen examples that have been electroplated with a thin layer of bronze to appear almost identical to a genuine bronze casting, so you have to be careful when you're self-appraising a piece ahead of bidding for it or buying it. If you want to learn more about spelter and most importantly how to tell the difference between spelter and bronze, then check out my Antique Central video. I'll add a link at the end. So why did I buy this particular spelter casting? Well, there was a couple of reasons. Firstly, it's a genuine late 19th or possibly early 20th century antique, and my regular viewers will know I can rarely resist a genuine antique, particularly if it has an industrial or engineering theme, and in this example our blacksmith ticks all those boxes. Also, and I have to admit it's a tenuous link, but it reminded me very much of my city's coat of arms, which has a blacksmith included in it, and so to be honest, this was the clincher for me. I'll cut in a graphic of the Birmingham coat of arms to show you what I mean. So you might say I bought it with my heart rather than my brain, but at only £9.80 I am never going to lose money on it should I decide to sell it. Having said all that, there were a couple of professional reasons I bought it as well. The overall quality of the original sculpture and casting is very good, and I'm wondering if it's French, but I'm not sure on that. The details are sharp, beautifully defined, and a lot of care and attention has been paid to the overall finish. In contrast, you tend to find that low quality spelter castings have errors in the casting, and the sculptural lines and form are nowhere near as detailed, precise, crisp or defined. Also, having checked similar examples, I know it stands on its original turned hardwood base, although it does have a split in it brought on by age, but at least there's no evidence of woodworm. At first I thought it may have been a statue that would have been mounted on a balustrade at the bottom of a grand staircase in a council building or head office, but having done some research I now believe it to be a standalone statue intended for decorative display in a domestic setting. In fact, that's where it resides now, proudly displayed on my fireside hearth where it lives as one of the few items I've kept for myself, at least for now. So, having bought it for £9.80, which in my humble opinion is an absolute bargain, it would resell from anywhere between £60 to £120 plus. And yes, as usual, the prices online are all over the place, so it's all about finding the right buyer when the time comes to sell it. Some things never change. The second item in today's video is a sculptural cast brass Ibex, goat or ram single candle holder. I've seen them described as Art Nouveau or Art Deco period through to mid-century, and even primitive tribal artifacts. So as usual, the internet is all over the place when it comes to provenance and attribution. I guess we will have to make our own assessment based on past experience and without the input of an expert in the field. However, assuming that expert knight in shining armour is not about to ride into the edit suite to illuminate us, let's get back to basics and the best we can do. So, This intriguing brass candlestick was again purchased at a pop-up auction, where I paid £14.20 in total, including fees and commission. So I have to be honest and did wonder at the time whether I had slightly overpaid for it, given I would be reselling it for profit. Well, that was the intention anyway. In my pea brain, I had a maximum bid figure of £10 total, but decided during bidding to increase my maximum bid to no more than £15, including fees, which I just about managed to stick to. Honestly, if it had gone over £15, I would have walked away from it. So why did I buy it and what do I think it is? In hindsight, two very good questions. Thanks for asking them. Firstly, I don't think it has a huge amount of age to it. Looking at similar examples on the web, I have seen attributed age estimates ranging from antique, vintage through to the ancient classical era. I suspect they are all correct depending on the individual piece they are referring to. And by that I mean there will be genuine antique examples out there, as well as contemporary copies or tourist pieces from the 18th, 19th and 20th centuries. You could even imagine yourself wandering through the local tourist market on holiday and seeing a table full of these reproduction decorative castings on sale for pennies. Without specialist knowledge, it's the gamble you take when you buy any artifact like this. So what do I think it is? Well, in my opinion, and feel free to disagree in the comments below, I think it is an early 20th century brass reproduction of an ancient bronze wild Ibex candle holder, most likely made in the mountain regions of Europe, Asia or northeastern Africa for sale to tourists. To be honest, I have to say the jury is out on its provenance at the moment and I could be underselling it. Having said that, I do believe it has some intrinsic value, and similar antique manor examples on the web sell for, now wait for it, between £60 to £140 depending on the selling platform and the description. I've even seen one on a well-known auction site listed for almost £2,000, but I guess you can ask whatever you want. However, it doesn't mean you're going to achieve it, and I very much doubt they'll achieve £2,000 for theirs. Given the overall quality of the piece I own, I will be listing it on my antiquecentral.co.uk website at the midpoint of the price range at around £90, including shipping to the UK mainland. I think it should achieve around this price given the antique patination, verdigris and quirky decorative appeal. And if that person who paid $625 on first dibs is watching, the moral of the story is to shop around and definitely check out the Antique Central website for bargains. You could have saved yourself a few quid there. Third on our list of 6 items is this totally functional display case for my flea market table. Purchased at auction for £14.20, I definitely overpaid for this display case, but I desperately needed one to display the more valuable vintage costume jewellery and watches I have for sale at the flea market. So as long as the bidding didn't run away, I was going to buy it. To be honest, it was particularly disappointing as I stupidly missed out on 2 smaller display cases I really wanted, as a large, previously unsold ceramic vase I didn't want had been added to that lot by the auctioneer purely to sell it. In hindsight, I should have bought the lot including the 2 smaller display cases and vase, as the cases would have fitted inside the plastic tubs I use to transport stock to the flea market, instead of buying this larger case which is too big to fit into the tubs. I could have then given away the vase or donated it to charity. You live and learn, I suppose. Having said that, I'll work with this case until I find a smaller replacement, so keep your eyes on the Antique Central channel and website for a bargain display case when I do eventually find a more suitably sized case for my tubs. Fourth on our list is an early 20th century 2-tier folding cake stand. Once again, I purchased it at auction for use at the flea market, this time to display the more valuable smaller items I have for sale, such as the ceramic or glass items I have unexpectedly acquired during my travels. I paid £6 plus fees and commission for it, so a grand total of £7.60. Given I am going to use it for now at the flea market rather than reselling it, I was really pleased with the price I paid given its usefulness and the decorative appeal it would add to my table display. Made of oak, it's typical of its kind, other than it has 2 shelves as opposed to the more traditional 3 shelves, so you might call it a compact size. However, there is a moral to this story. Always know the size of your storage tubs, as this display stand also doesn't fit inside them, which means I will have to transport it out of the tubs when I travel to the flea market. Very frustrating and unnecessary. Aesthetically, it's functional but utilitarian, and by that I mean it's not made with high-end materials such as mahogany, and it hasn't been enhanced with any decorative embellishments, form or design, so I suspect it would have been used in a shop or domestic setting as opposed to a grand country house, but it's still a plucky little survivor and deserves its place in the Antique Central limelight, in my opinion anyway. It goes without saying, therefore, that if I do get an offer for this stand at the flea market, then I will probably sell it and replace it with a smaller version that I can fit into the tubs. As they say, everything has its price. I don't want to have too much of a downer on this stand, especially given I only paid £7.60 for it. Similar 3-tier examples of late 19th century and early 20th century or Edwardian period folding stands can sell for upwards of £45, with some fetching in excess of £140 plus, depending on the age, quality and condition. Having said that, if I did sell this functional example of a less common 2-tier stand, I wouldn't take any less than £40 for it, and I think that's achievable and would be a good price for the buyer. Last but one on our list is a small vintage hand-carved Shisham wood pencil case, which would suggest it's artisan made and from the Asian continent, most likely India. They use Shisham wood on the Asian continent as it's durable, carves really well and polishes up to a lovely finish, so easy to see why it's a popular wood with the trade. Bit of background, I was on a day out with a mate at the cricket in Worcester when it started raining. So play was stopped and we took the opportunity to have a quick look in some of the charity shops in the city centre. Out of about 6 shops that we went into, I only picked up this one item and paid £2 for it, which I thought was a good buy given it's a hand-carved tropical hardwood, functional and attractive. My initial reasoning for buying it was that an artist would love it for their pens, or equally it would look really good as a desktop organiser. Either way, for £2 I'm not going to lose money on it. The big question is, do I list it on the website for £20 including shipping, or sell it at the flea market for around £10? At the moment I'm leaning towards the website as it is an attractive and functional design with an aesthetic appeal. I should mention that if you see anything you're interested in, get in touch with me direct via the Antique Central website contact form and we can work out a deal if it's still available for sale. The next day. Finally, we have a ceramic 1977 Silver Jubilee commemorative plate. I'm pretty sure you're all staring at the screen asking yourself, why did he buy that? Yes, it's been lovingly crafted and is quite detailed, and its function and purpose as a commemorative plate is clear for us all to see. But it's definitely not the type of item I normally buy, and as my regular viewers will know, I don't, as a rule, buy glass or ceramics due to the issues with damage incurred during transport and shipping. In my opinion, it's just not worth the hassle when there's millions of wooden and metal artifacts out there to sell. If you disagree, let me know in the comments below. Having said that, and in answer to your question, why did I buy it? Quite honestly, I didn't buy it. This amateur, homemade ceramic plate, probably a night school project or similar, was added to one of the other auction lots I did win, so effectively it came completely free of charge. If I remember correctly, I think it came with the display case I showed you earlier. This practice of adding items that don't sell to another auction lot is common practice at pop-up auctions. particularly if the majority of lots come from a single house clearance, as the auctioneers really don't want to be taking unwanted stock back to their storage unit. So in theory, you could well end up going home with an unexpected or even unwanted item if it has been added to a lot that you do want, as was the case with this royal memorabilia commemorative plate. And the bottom line? Well, as a dealer, I really don't want to sound ungrateful for getting free stock. That would be disrespectful to the auction house and the person who made the plate. So all I'll say is thanks for the free stock, and given I didn't pay anything for it, I'm sure a royal memorabilia collector will pay a fiver for it at least at the flea market to make my time processing, transporting and selling it worthwhile. If you're a new subscriber, let me know where in the world you're from and I'll add your location to the community list you can see scrolling up the screen. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.